Well, folks, that was a shocking, stunning heartbreaker of a loss for the Golden State Warriors in Utah. But after sleeping on it, I wake up this morning encouraged. I actually think there were so many positives from that Warriors Jazz game. And Kevin Danna and I are going to break that down. There were positives in that, folks. Yes, they lost. Yes, there are still questions to answer. But, folks, the youngsters are emerging. I'm pumped. We'll see if Kevin Danna is as well. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com. Use the promo code Locked On. You can follow Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, sometimes the Golden State Warriors, and the voice of many other sports and teams. You're big time, sir. At Kevo408. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. Kevin, your first reaction to a loss that undoubtedly was a massive disappointment, given they were leading by 4 points with, I believe, 7.8 seconds remaining. That's when Malik Monk hit the three to cut it to 1. They lose the game. Your immediate reaction to that, or your next day reaction, whatever. And how are you doing?
Yeah. Like literally one of the worst ways I've seen a team lose a game. Like, wow. I hadn't seen that. And Malik Beasley's corner three, like I was okay with him shooting.
Beasley, I'm sorry. I said Monk. Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's just when Kuminga goes to the line up 2 and the ball, or, like 2 in the ball, up 1. Or no, you were up 2 at the time. Yeah. You're just thinking it's going to take a lot to lose this game. And they, in the final 24.9 seconds, they went 2 of 4 from the foul line and turned it over twice. And it like, usually only high school teams or like really bad college teams that like don't know how to win against like against it reminded me of like a low major team like trying to fend off a big trying to like secure a big upset, but at the end it's just like too much athleticism, like one of the like those are the games that like small schools kind of trick off at the end as they try to slay the giant. And it was just like stunned. I'm still stunned thinking about it. It was kind of like they had a game during the COVID year of 2021 where they absolutely tricked off an ending in Charlotte. Yeah. There was like a Draymond technical foul and then like a jump ball, corner 3 of the buzzer or something like that. Like from that loss alone, like big picture, like I thought they were kind of going to get blown out last night. So I was like pleased that they should have won the game.
Still am. I still am, but yeah.
But like it that one hurts. So I'm not gonna lie, but it's 1 of 82. But yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: should we go with the positives first or the negatives first? How should we? What do you want to begin with? I'm going to ask you that because there's a lot of both.
Yeah. You know what? I'm a positive guy, so let's save the positives for later. Let's get all the dirt out of the way.
All right, let's get the dirt. Okay, so first things first. And someone here wrote in the chat, and the chat is open. We're hosting this live today on Thursday, December 8th, 2 days before Kevin Danna's birthday. Happy early birthday, my man.
It's my Marcus Smart year coming up.
What does that mean?
Right, that's his number. I think his number's 36, right? I'm terrible with their numbers.
I didn't know that. That is random knowledge, but okay. Do you know like every player's number? Is that like RC Davis?
Like literally... for basketball, like for every other sport, I'd rely on numbers, but in basketball, I just rely on like the player because I'm up close and I can see them. So I like don't know any players' numbers. Like I know Stephen Curry's number is 30, And I know Klay Thompson's number is 11 and Draymond Green's is 23. But like I outside of like Warriors players' numbers, like I couldn't tell you like any other NBA player's number besides I guess Marcus Smart.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah.
And I brought up RC Davis, who he's been working the Warriors a long time. We're former colleagues at KNVR many years ago, and he can name, or he at least he used to. I don't know if he still can, but he can name off every single player on every team in the NBA. It's always been a fascinating a tidbit from him that he could do that. But anyway, and what's up, everyone in the chat? So Stanley Warren wrote, Kerr is really coaching poorly this season. And this game, I think, did epitomize that to a certain degree. I'll get to that in a minute, but let's start with Klay Thompson. And I got some sound from him as well, because he made a lot of mistakes. He was the individual who whose coverage was basically dropped. It was almost just standing out there, like not really doing anything. It was like it's almost like he spaced out for a moment. I really did not understand that, but he had a bad game, man. I mean, he did score 22 points, but he had a turnover near the end there where he just had the ball stripped out of his hands. And then he let Malik Beasley hit that wide open three. In fact, here's Klay. I want to play this soundbite from him where he was talking about that specific play and why he fell asleep. Here's Klay.
When you left Beasley open, kind of just walk me through, I guess, how he wound up.
Oh, thank you for letting me recollect such a great moment of the game. I just fell asleep. I didn't watch the ball handler get to the rim rather than sticking on the three-point shooter. And that was a dreadful mistake by myself.
It was. Yeah, it was an absolute dreadful mistake. So that was a problem. And again, when you look at the stat sheet, he 22 points, love that, but not a great shooting night. 8 for 25 from the field. He missed a lot of close range shots. And then obviously there was a play at the very end, Jordan Poole. And it was really disappointing that it was Poole who committed that turnover, because he was having such a great game. I mean, when we're going to focus on positives in a minute, and I'm going to play this Jordan Poole soundbite, but for him to just not secure the ball and let the Jazz basically pull that off at the end was just heartbreaking. It was a shock. So here is Jordan Poole real quick talking about, or at least expressing his feelings on the end of the game and so forth.
How would you just describe this when you have like a crazy ending to a game like that? It kind of feels like a catch, I'm sure. Like, how would you just describe like the emotional feel of the team right now?
We got another game in a couple of days. So the good thing about the league is we play 82 games and quick turnaround. We'll be fine.
There you go. I like that. What did you think about that? The end of the game. I know you expressed disappointment. I think that was a mistake a young player makes. Just secure the damn ball. Just hold on to the ball. He was also fouled, by the way. It was an off the ball foul. I don't know if you agree with that or not, that Kelly Olynyk committed on Poole. I mean, you can't just hammer other players just because the ball isn't in their hands. But yeah, your thoughts on how that all went down, and those two specifically, because they scored points, but they also made costly mistakes at the end.
Yeah, so I still haven't had the intestinal fortitude to go back and watch the ending of that game. Like, I saw like one or two replays, couldn't stomach anymore, and had to watch Pacific Women's Basketball game for Cal Pacific Women's Basketball Tactical Networks this Saturday. Tune in 8 p.m. with Melana Martin Douglas as my color commentator. But so yeah, I mean, like. In the NBA, there's no 5 count, right? You could literally hold on to the basketball, just like get in like a standing fetal position almost, and like guard it with both hands. But like, obviously hindsight's 20/20, and in the heat of the moment, you see like a bunch of people running at you. Like, I can't say I've been in that situation because I got cut from my high school team. So, like. Who am I to tell Jordan what to do there? But
you're an expert, my man.
In theory, like, you just hold on to the ball, right?
Yes.
I saw someone in the chat say, like, why didn't Klay foul Malik Beasley? I mean, like, in that situation, you don't want to foul. Like, you're up 2 possessions. Don't let them like I mean, all right, yeah, Malik Beasley's a very good three-point shooter, and he drained a wide-open three. But, like, the last thing you want to do there is put them at the line. Like, I don't know. I kind of see what they're saying, but, like, if they were up 3, you foul, no doubt. But you're up 4, you're up 2 possessions. Like, literally the only thing that could beat you is fouling a three-point shooter. And so, like, I don't know if I buy to the, like, give them 3 points to make it a one possession game. Like, obviously you'd want them to work harder to make it a one possession game. But I don't think, like, putting them at the line, which would essentially guarantee, like, pretty much 9.9 times out of 10, someone's going to at least split the free throws. And so, like, you're guaranteeing yourself a one possession game by fouling. And, like, if you just get one stop and the game's over. But, yeah, they obviously didn't get that. And it was very frustrating. I thought Klay's response was pretty funny. Like, oh, thanks for letting me remember such a great moment from the game, or whatever he said. It had me chuckling.
Yeah, the reporter just had to do what they had to do. And look, before we go to break here, I do want to highlight the fact that Jordan Poole, his biggest issue this season, to me, was a lack of consistency. 1 minute, one game he would have a fantastic output. Next game, he would have a lousy output. Well, folks, in the last 4 games, basically since the start of December, on December 2nd against the Bulls, he scored 30 points, only had an assist, but whatever, 30 points is good. Against the Rock, and they won that game. Against the Rockets, a game they also won, he put up 21 points, added 5 assists. And then the last 2 games they've lost, but against the Pacers, he had 23 points, added 5 rebounds. And then in last night's loss, despite the fact that he did cause a turnover at the end, he still scored 36 points, had 8 assists. And it's just such a shame that we can't mention these stats on following a win, but they're rather because of a loss. But the consistency is finally starting to establish itself. And I'm starting to see a more grown version of Jordan Poole out there. And we could touch on that a lot more. Yeah. Do you have to say it now, or can I do the commercial?
No,
all right, save that thought, Kevin. Save it real fast. Got to give some love first to PrizePicks. One of my favorite new games that I'm playing routinely. Legal here in California, folks. And the premise is super easy. It's just over-unders for individuals. Like, so last night, for example, with Stephen Curry out, with Draymond out, Wiggins out, the over-unders for points were probably going to be based on Klay Thompson, on Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole probably, I forgot, I didn't bet last night, but his over-under was probably like 24.5. All you got to do is decide if he's going to score more than that or less than that. You can also do over-unders on rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, combinations of the sort. And it's not just the NBA either. You can also play with NFL. Brock Purdy's going to have an over-under this weekend. Tom Brady's going to have an over-under this weekend on passing yards, TD throws, and this covers all the sports. It's super fun. The withdrawals are safe, easy, and fast. You don't have to deal with all these sketchy wire services. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, they'll give you $100. And if you don't have $100, you only have, say, $50, they'll still match that $50 deposit with an additional $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen today. After us, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. You follow Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, and sometimes the Golden State Warriors on Twitter at Kevo408. Okay, I'm sorry for cutting you off. Floor is yours, Kevin. Thanks, man. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah. I just realized what this game reminded me of
Yes.
we had a game in Santa Cruz, or when I was traveling with Santa Cruz in Idaho. We were up one with like 6 seconds to go, and former Golden State Warrior Dominic McGuire, for people who remember Dominic McGuire, we had the ball up one with like 6 seconds to go. He threw it away. They got a layup at the end of the game, and we lost by one. And it was like, to that point, like the worst loss I'd experienced. And it was like basically the exact same scenario last night.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to say. I'm actually going to text Casey Hill after this. All
right. Well,
that disaster of a loss.
Well, I'm disappointed in myself a little bit that I waited until the 15-minute 40-second mark to bring up Jonathan Kuminga, because folks, that was the Jonathan Kuminga that we're going to be seeing for the next 10 to 15 years. He's going to get better and better. Last night, I think for the first time in Kuminga's career, he realized that no one can stop him, or certainly very few people on this planet can stop the man if he wants to score a bucket. The dog came out from Jonathan Kuminga last night. He was stuffing home baskets he had no business stuffing home, because he had defenders right on him, and he decided, I don't care if you're there. I'm stronger than you. I'm more athletic than you, and I'm going to get to the paint where I want. And it didn't just extend to the inside. He had a three-pointer with confidence from the corner. I don't know if you noticed that. This was just a fantastic Jonathan Kuminga game. The only question I had was, why didn't he start the game? But I digress from that. I loved it. This was just, I think, a sign of great things to come. What were your thoughts, Kevin, on Jonathan Kuminga's performance last night? A season high, 24 points.
Jonathan Kuminga has to average 20 minutes a game at the very least from now on, in my opinion. Like, he has taken the message. He has taken the coaching to heart. He is doing exactly what he needs to out there. And I liked, now, my G League background, when someone passes up an open three, it hurts my soul.
Yeah.
But like for Jonathan Kuminga, like him passing up the open three and trying to pound it inside and take guys off the dribble is exactly what he needs to do at this point in his career, or move to basketball. And so I didn't feel like anything was really forced. There were times, of course, he put his head down, but when he put his head down, he got a bucket at the rim. And so like when he does that, he's pretty unstoppable. I mean, the defense he had, the block on Jordan Clarkson, the laugh of Jordan Clarkson, like, that is sent, like, at the time we're thinking that won the game. Basically, that stop on Jordan Clarkson. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. But I mean, he was a PTP, or a primetime player last night for the Golden State Warriors, and I want to see him continue to get 20 to 25 minutes a game, because he 1,000% deserves it. He earned it. And I mean, he is 20 years old. By the time he's 25, he could very well be competing for like all-star game appearances. I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say. Like, that is kind of the ceiling that Jonathan Kuminga has, where he's going to be in 5 years. If he continues, to develop this basketball IQ, which I think has really taken leaps and bounds, obviously from last year, but even from the start of this season. He's gotten the message. He's like, all right, well, if I was playing the way I was playing at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to be playing. And I'm sure he doesn't want to go to Santa Cruz anymore. Like, he's put in his time in the G League, spent a whole year in the G League, or really a month with G League Ignite. So I guess they're seeing a little bit longer. That's whatever. You guys don't need
No. And I just want to add to this. First of all, Solo here writes, and we're doing a live show, so obviously you can engage with us, writes that I personally don't care about the next 10 years. I care about Steph's prime. I really think Kuminga can help them now. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, well, so yeah, I 1,000% agree that Kuminga can help them now. What I see some of these comments, and we appreciate the comments. I do think people are being a little overreactionary, because what we haven't mentioned, which everyone knows, is that Golden State damn near won a game in Utah, which is traditionally very tough to play, and they're a good team, without Stephen Curry, without Andrew Wiggins, and without Draymond Green, 3 of their 4 best players.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like they still damn near won the game. They should have won the game. It took like a monumental collapse where you put those teams in the same situation 10 more times, and Golden State would win that game 10 times.
Yep. Absolutely right, man. And that's why I woke up today feeling a lot better. Last night was just, man, I imagine everyone in Dub Nation was bitter, right? I mean, never mind how shocked everyone was at the ending. I'm sure if you're a Jazz fan, you're related. But but this morning I woke up and all I thought was this Warriors team's there were a lot of positives to take away from it. And there is so much more to talk about. I'm also disappointed in myself real quick that it took me until the 2015 mark to bring up Ty Jerome, a player that I personally
That's your
think
favorite player, right?
my All right, let's go to break. So today's show is brought to you by also, besides PrizePicks, BetOnline. That's where you go, folks. Today's just a gambling show when it comes to our sponsors. And why not? It is fun. And especially if you go to betonline.net, they are your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. I got to ask you this, Kevin. I know you're not legally allowed. Well, I don't know if legal is the right word, but technically you're not allowed to bet on games given your position in the NBA. But if you had to guess, what do you think the line is going to be for Saturday's not quite as big of a matchup as originally advertised because Wiggins will not be playing? But what do you think the line's going to be for Saturday's ABC primetime Saturday night extravaganza at Chase Center, NBA Finals rematch, Warriors Celtics? Who's favored and by how much? What's your guess?
With the Celtics being 21-5 and Andrew Wiggins not getting reevaluated until Monday, I would say Boston -4.5.
Ooh, wow. That's a big spread, man.
Yeah, 3.5. No, yeah, I'll say 4. Like, they are miles better than anyone in the regular season right now. Like, I think Golden State can win the game, but I think like Vegas would say that they just murdered the Suns last night. I couldn't tell you if they play Thursday or Friday, but that might, if they play Friday, that might change what I think about the spread. But assuming they're just playing Saturday, then yeah, I would say Boston -4.5.
All right. I do think the Celtics will be favored as well. I don't know if it's going to be as high as 4.5, but regardless, you can get all that information by going to betonline.net. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet Online, it's where the game starts.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Kevin, do you like my my cheesy smile I do at the end of all those ad reads?
Yeah,
TV broadcaster stuff, right? Anyways, what did you think about James Wiseman, man? You've been covering him for for the 6-game stint he had in Santa Cruz. He was producing. I think he was averaging close to, if not a double-double. It was in that 15-10 range. He only played 5 minutes. And this is where, again, the criticism towards Steve Kerr, I think, is very warranted in terms of how he's handling these youngsters. Why, in your opinion, did he only play 5 minutes? I felt like they could have really used him in the third and early part of the fourth. The Warriors were desperate for easy baskets. They were also desperate for stops. He could have provided both in those 5 minutes. I thought he looked fantastic. I mean, for a player with his limited experience and what he's gone through, I was loving what I saw. And then we never saw him again. Your reaction, your thoughts to James Wiseman's performance last night, and what do you think we're going to see from him next? Like, is he going back to Santa Cruz? Is he going to stay with the Warriors? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed what I saw from James Wiseman last night. I thought had a nice finish, had a nice move. He had his first shot blocked by a Walker Kessler, or his first, and then the next time gave him a little spin move, got to the line. So I like that. Got a couple of rebounds in 5 minutes. That was the one thing that was a little concerning about the first 4 minutes of his shift. He didn't have a rebound. Then he got 2 quick rebounds. So I like that. Kept a couple of possessions alive. Defensively, I think he's still figuring out rotations and when to stun at a guy, when to contest shots. And so that's the part that still comes around, and it still needs to come around. I think probably why Steve opted to not play him in the fourth quarter when you're already down. What were they down 9 going into the fourth or something like that?
I think 11 even. It was in that range, yeah.
So
it was in that range, yeah.
So somewhere around there. So I can understand why he didn't get brought back. I thought that he played well enough to get another 4 to 5 minute stretch in the second half. I would have liked to see him get to 10 minutes because I thought he was positive in the 5 minutes that he played. Made a positive impact. But like he's still learning the intricacies of the defense right now, and like he just needs to rep that out at the G. Like the double, he's averaging I think 16 and 10 in the G League, which is good. Like a guy like him, you'd like to see him to dominate a little bit more. He had a 24-point, 13 rebound game against the Stockton Kings, where he was 11 of 13 and dunked it like 8 times. That's the James Wiseman I want to see every day. And it wasn't like they were just calling a bunch of stuff up for him. He was just catching, dunking, and then and he was really solid on defense the last 46 minutes of that game after Stockton targeted him early. That's the kind of stuff I want to see from James Wiseman. I don't know if I'm going to practice and I actually have to leave in a couple minutes to go to practice. So I doubt he would be at practice today, but there might be a chance he'd be assigned tomorrow because Golden State doesn't play till Saturday. He can theoretically play with Santa Cruz Friday and Sunday and be in San Francisco on Saturday. So but I don't know if they're going to do that with him.
All right. Yeah,
I
love
that might be a little too much, but
yeah, I loved what I saw. It was brief. I just wish Kerr would start trusting these kids a little more. I understand what you're saying about becoming more familiar, being more effective in terms of defensive assignments. We hear this reference a lot, this analogy of, the defense playing on a string. And what that basically references is making sure you're on top of your teammates with substitutions, making sure you have your teammates' backs, not letting easy baskets occur. But I like what I'm seeing from him so far. I think he just needs a chance. Another player that I thought in limited minutes played excellent last night. Maybe excellent might be strong, but certainly wasn't a negative. And that was Moses Moody, who did finish. I think he led the team in plus minus with plus 11. He was 2 for 3 from beyond the arc, 6 points. I thought his defensive aggressiveness was solid. And again, though, as you mentioned, my favorite player on the Warriors, Ty Jerome, gets 24 minutes. I just don't understand why he's on this team. I do not understand why he's getting minutes. It is driving me literally insane. But let me ask you this, Kevin, what are your thoughts on JaMychal Green? This is a player who we're now 26 games in, and he has shown that he can't shoot the ball from beyond the arc. All right. I don't know how much more time you can give him. Again, we're past a quarter point. We're slowly creeping to the third point of the season, and he can't shoot the three. So if he can't shoot the three, he's basically out there as your backup center for defense and rebounds. But if that is all he's going to give you, I think Dwight Howard's a better option. I think Boogie Cousins is a better option. What are your thoughts on JaMychal Green, man? I mean, as I know it's hard for you to be critical given your position with the Warriors, but as honestly as you can be, what are your thoughts on JaMychal Green?
No, I mean, this is going to sound weird. I think I'd rather have JaMychal Green than those guys. I know that sounds weird because Dwight Howard's a Hall of Famer and Boogie Cousins would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't get injured. But they don't need a powerhouse former All-Star big, right? Defense and rebounding. I don't know. DeMarcus Cousins got his offensively last year for sure, and he looked good. But I don't know how much he can help defensively right now if his body's all the way right. It looks like Dwight Howard's having a lot of fun in Taiwan or whatever he's playing now. And I do think JaMychal Green's probably 18% from three right now. He was 6 of 37 from 7 to 37 or something like that from downtown.
Correct.
In theory, he's better than that because he has been in practice. That hasn't been the case. I think he's finishing well around the rim. I think he does provide some good rebounding. I don't know. I'm not as disappointed. I'm not as disappointed in JaMychal Green as other people are.
Okay.
I wish he'd be a 35% 3-point shooter. The thing that he needs to get better at, he fouls a lot. And he picks up a lot of bad fouls. Outside of that, for what he's being asked to do, I think he has been better lately. I think he's finishing very well around the rim in recent games.
True.
So yeah, like I don't think that's the reason why the Warriors are 13-13.
No, I know he's not, but I mean, clearly they need improvements off the bench. The bench is the problem. It's the problem, and I feel like it's a problem that would be largely solved if Curtis had some trust in his young players. We're seeing what's going on with Kuminga when he gets minutes. We're starting to see what's going on with Moody when he gets minutes. Give Wiseman some minutes as well. He's a 7-foot athletic freak out there. Maybe just simplify the game for him a little bit. I'll end it on this note. I know you got to bounce to practice for the Santa Cruz Warriors, and the chat's been full of trade discussions, folks. The writing on the wall seems to indicate that Wiseman might get moved. It would surprise me a little bit if he did. I don't know if they're going to trade him, but I'm starting to hear a lot of voices from interesting people utter those words that Wiseman might get moved, and who knows, right? But I will say this, because the Warriors are about to embark on a crazy 7-game road trip, if I'm not mistaken.
6-game road trip, 7
yeah,
of 8
so,
road, 6 straight.
Yeah, and they play the Celtics this Saturday. I mean, that's about as tough as it gets. And then right after that, again, as you mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-game road trip, largely covering the East Coast and the Northeast. And these are not easy teams that they're playing. Then when they get back from that road trip, their first home game is Christmas Day against the Memphis Grizzlies. That's a tough stretch. That's realistically 8 games where I think if you go 2-6, you might end up being a little pleased. With all that said, let's say the Warriors tank this next 8-game stretch. They're still in it. That's the crazy part, right? Like they're only 4 games back in the standings of the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. I did say that. And the Warriors are just 4 games behind them. And so I just don't think the team's panicking. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't know if you agree with me on this notion or not, that to me, the Golden State Warriors give me a lot of 95 Rockets, 98 Bulls vibes, a veteran team that knows they can do it, but they're just going through these regular season doldrums. And again, the whole part of the playing time thing is, I've expressed this a million times. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but play the youngsters. But in your eyes, Kevin, what I'm asking, I guess, is this 8-game stretch coming up with the standings, with the way the West just is this year. Do you see a trade coming, or do you think the Warriors are actually okay with all things considered? What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure, like, what the Warriors are going to do. Like I said last week, I'm usually just a guy that likes to play it out with what you have.
Yeah.
I'm not overly concerned, but I mean, maybe they do make a trade. I saw some trade proposals, like the Oklahoma City Thunder are not going to give up Jeremiah Robinson Earl for JaMychal Green.
Okay.
Like, remember the second round? Jeremiah Robinson Earl is, I think, too valuable to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was just reading some of the trade proposals that I see, I don't think are reasonable. Like, they're pie in the sky. Like, Jeremiah Robinson Earl is a really nice young big to have, but I don't really think that. I mean, I could be wrong on the market for Jeremiah Robinson Earl, but I don't think the Thunder would be willing to part with him for JaMychal Green. That's my read of the situation. Because I just saw that out there, but I mean, I don't know.
Who does, right? Besides Bob Myers.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't like theorizing on potential trades involving guys on a team that I'm employed for and asking them to get shipped out. That's just me.
That makes no sense, Kevin. How could you feel uncomfortable talking about your colleagues and shipping them away? I don't get that at all. I'm kidding. All right, before we go real quick, we're not going to touch on this today, but Sasha Goldstein of a Vermont publication, a newspaper, which I believe is called 7 Days. They're an independent Vermont newspaper, news publication. They're reporting that Anthony Lamb has been accused in a civil lawsuit of raping a fellow student of his back when he played for the University of Vermont in 2019. So this is a new civil suit. And a lot of people have had opinions on this before. The Warriors did not necessarily do an investigation of their own into Anthony Lamb and these circumstances from 2019. The NBA supposedly did, and that's who the Warriors relied on. But again, Lamb has been accused in a civil lawsuit of raping a fellow student back when he was a student athlete at the University of Vermont in 2019. The complaint was filed in U.S. District Court in Burlington, and it accuses school officials of mishandling reports of sexual assault and interfering with due process for victims. We'll get more into this in a future show. This news dropped today, and it's such a sensitive topic that I don't want to just dive into it without doing research. But it's not good. I'll say that. But anyway, so we'll touch on that some more again in a future show. Kevin, anything you want to promote, Rebalance? I know Santa Cruz Warriors Friday night, right?
Friday and Sunday. I think the Sunday game's on NBA TV at 1 p.m. against the Oklahoma City Blues. So, yeah, in addition to NBC Sports Bay Area. I don't know who's going to be there from the Golden State guys. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, also, I just see from Orlando in the chat, awesome to see Brittany Griner freed.
Yes.
I do have to go to practice right now because
Bravo. Yeah, your thing. Happy for Brittany Griner. And real quick before you go, who's winning Saturday, Celtics or Warriors?
I think the Warriors are going to give me a treat for my 36th birthday.
All right, there you go. Happy early 36th birthday, my man. Love you. And we'll be back at it soon, folks. Take care. Thank you.
Cool. Take care.